Coach V Show, powered by Island City, where the beach meets the streets. And here on your personal development radio show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. Well, we feature brother Salesi Ika, who is a guru with finances, numbers, and accounting. His story, his message to the world, and his insights is going to bring major value. I know it has for me. And now a word from our sponsor.
Soles is more than just for saving your floors. It also prevents heel bruises and pains from unbalanced cleats.
Hi, my name is Daniel Bruckner. I'm a private practice pediatrician here in Southern California, as well as the chair of pediatrics at Providence Cedars-Sinai Tarzana Hospital, and a good friend of Wendy's and also the pediatrician of her children. And I'd like to take this time to support her product, Soles. I think it's an amazing product that will benefit children greatly. And every day we see kids come from soccer practice, things like that. They don't want to take off their cleats, so they come in, and I've seen accidents, I've seen sprained ankles, I've seen hurt heels, and I think that this Soles product will really help prevent those from happening, not only as a pediatrician, but also as a consumer. I can't wait to get the product for myself and for my children. I think it's something that should be owned by every athlete across the country, and I really hope that everyone goes and buys it and enjoys it. Thank you.
Soles will have memory foam and TPE mesh that will wrap around the cleats. After showing my product to my professional friends, I realized one thing. This isn't a product people want, it's a product people need. Soles, taking you from the cleats to the streets.
Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. And bringing to you expert insights and interviews to really help you, should you see value in it, these success frameworks, life lessons, and behavioral models, should you find value in it, that you subscribe and deploy it all over your life, leadership, and business. Today on the Coach V Show, I am so excited to feature on this episode Salesi Ika, who was born and raised in Hemet, California. After graduating from BYU, Idaho with a degree in business management, he married his wife, Melenaite Fifita, and they moved to Murray, Utah. After having their twin girls, they moved to Provo, Utah, where Salesi has spent the past 4 years managing finances for small startup companies across Utah County. And at the beginning of 2020, Salesi began his first business practice, which is why we're featuring him on the show, Pacific Tax and Accounting. Later that same year, they welcomed a baby boy into their family in August of 2020. And at the beginning of 2021, Salesi took a leap of faith and became 100% focused on growing his practice. Through the past year, he's been able to help other small businesses to grow and make better financial decisions regarding their companies. He has able to specifically help the Polynesian community and finds great joy in knowing that his services can help benefit his own people. While he takes great pride in helping other companies, it is a two-way street, and he has in turn learned so much from his clients and is grateful for their support. He has seen huge personal growth over the last year and is determined to continue his learning and his skill building, and as well as his growth. Welcome to the Coach V Show and his feature of brother Salesi Ika. Salesi, welcome to the show, baby. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on this show, Coach V. I just really appreciate and am grateful for you asking me to be here. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. We asked you here for something because you know how to bring some value, just not on the accounting books, but in life, leadership, and business. So tell us your Genesis point, Salesi. Where do you want to start? You want to start with your Genesis point in terms of your profession, or do you want to start back with where you were born in Cali and get us to where we are today? Where do you want to start?
I'll start a little bit of both. I would say growing up, I grew up in Hemet, California. My parents actually moved away from Los Angeles. That's where my parents are both from Tonga. So they both moved to LA, and that's where they met and they got married. And then they didn't really like the scene of Los Angeles with a lot of different gang violence and different things like that, especially in both of their families. So they moved to a small area in Hemet, California, and that's where they raised my siblings and I. And growing up, I just think about the things that I learned. One of the biggest takeaways I would say is service, and just to serve other people and expect nothing in return. I remember just growing up, my father taught me that when I was younger, we would always come to church activities or events for family, and we would always be the first ones there and the last ones to leave. So I think that carried me on in my life to what I do today, especially throughout my life. I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints out in Minnesota, and just serving people and learning from the people out there about, just giving your full heart to people. And I feel like that truly has transpired to what I do now. I feel like I come into a lot of different situations with clients that are way behind either on taxes or on their accounting, and they feel like there's no end, and they've been contacted by the IRS, and some of them are hitting with penalties and fees and those different things, and just taking a step back and letting them know everything's going to be okay has helped me to serve people, not only just to gain monetarily wealth, but also to help them as people and look at them as individuals. I know that a lot of CPAs get, and just tax professionals in general, accountants, get a lot of bad raps. I get a lot of people that, are small business owners that the CPA firm didn't want to take them because, it was too much of a mess and they were focused on people that made them more money. So when they come to me, I try to listen to them and understand them as first who they are and how they got there on their journey. Whether they're starting, like a lot of them, they're in the construction business. I have some clients that are, have their own small businesses in food or clothing or just anything. A lot of them are very entrepreneurial. They own multiple business. So they know how to be entrepreneurs, but they don't understand the financial part. And so when I'm able to sit down with them and help them understand that and really look at their financial picture and let them know that it's going to be okay, and that, like everybody has been here in a sense, and no one teaches you accounting unless you take schools and classes in college. It's really not taught at the lower level. And so being able to serve my clients in that way and help them navigate through different problems that they have has really, I would say, blessed me and helped me see them for who they are and help serve them and go above and beyond, especially when they need help in different aspects of their life. So
that's awesome. Let's introduce, because I know my mom's going to be saying, hi. Whose kid is that? Right? Let's introduce your parents, please, Salesi.
Yeah, so I was, my parents, my dad is Salesi Ika. I'm named after my father. And then my mom is Ana Ika. Her maiden last name is Finau. So I have a lot of family out in California, a lot of family locally here, a lot of Ika family out here in Utah, and even my Finau side. A lot of my first cousins are out here in Utah also. So.
And translate your name for me, Salesi Ika, into English.
So into English, so Salesi Ika. Salesi is Charles in English. And then Ika, my last name, actually means fish. So it would be nice. Charles Fish.
Yeah. And then in that, you were talking about this service, which is deeply rooted in the Polynesian and the Tongan community, is to serve others, to be a part of something bigger than yourself, usually a church community, a geographic community. Talk about the life lessons, specific ones that you remember that your parents taught you, Salesi, please.
So I would say some of the biggest service things that I've seen is my dad by trade was an electrician. So he would go work on people's houses, and then there's two other brothers I have that are younger than me. So he would always take us with him to go help people. And, I knew now looking back at it, I knew my dad would not even charge people a lot of money, especially people that were like widows and single parents and those different people that really couldn't afford it. But my dad would honestly just do it out of the kindness of his heart. And I remember, in Hemet, California, it's a desert, and it would be like 100 degrees or more, and we would be up in the attic pulling lines through for electricity, and it was blazing hot. And I still remember doing that with my brothers. And growing up, especially, I feel like as a Tongan kid, first generation here, born here, we envy our parents in a way that we feel like we should always honor them and be respectful to them. So we would probably never complain about anything, and we would also like try to do everything in our power to help our parents. And we were very obedient growing up. I feel like that's something that I really respect about the Tongan culture. And I just remember doing it day in and day out with my dad, just helping him with different service projects too. Like as I think back to it, my dad really never told us like, you need to go out and serve people, you need to help people. My mother and my father, they did it by showing us, by actually doing it. They taught us by example and by action. So I feel like that really shaped the person who I am today when it comes to serving and being there for people that really need you in your life.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you one thing about electrician stuff, man. Your boy, I'll mess around in my house with everything, but I am not messing around with electrical stuff. I am calling an expert for that. So you talked about growing up in Hemet, and then, so what was your childhood like? It was just you and your two brothers with your dad, Salesi, and your mom, Anna, yes?
And then I have 4 older sisters too.
So. 4 older sisters?
Yeah.
Oh, so all the girls are older than the boys.
Yeah, crazy, huh? I don't know how my parents did that. 4 older sisters and then 3 of us after that.
So talk about the life lessons of your youth. Any of those from your youth, either junior high, high school, or going to school, that you'd like to share with us that you think could be of value?
Yeah, I would say just growing up in a bigger family. Like I think about like a lot of what a psychologist that I like to listen to, his name is Jordan Peterson. He talks a little bit about growing up. It's kind of sad sometimes when you see smaller families or just one kid and those different things. But he talks about like when you have siblings, it actually strengthens you and it helps you, like it molds, because there's a lot of different conflict and different things, like different opinions and those different things. So I feel like growing up, one thing that I was really taught is respect for women. I think about like, because all my sisters are older, and understand in the Tongan culture, like you have a fahu who is like your oldest sister who is in charge of different things. And I remember just growing up, my dad, the way that he treated my mother, one thing that I remember always is my dad was expressing love for my mother, like whether it was in a public setting or just with us kids and those different things. It really shaped my life and showed me who I needed to be as a husband and a father to my children that I have currently right now. I feel like that's one thing that was really instilled in my mind is you always respect women, and not only women you respect, but you respect those that are older than you, even when it may seem that things may be unfair. Just to have respect for those elders around you, I feel like that was really instilled into my mind. And then a lot about, I would say, working very hard. Like my father, when he came to America, he moved here when he was in high school, and then he finished high school out in LA. He didn't have that much of a educational background. Tried to go to college, didn't really like college too much, and he decided to work for the school district out in Hemet, and he was able to work there for over 40 years and retired from there. Moved his way up from electrician all the way up to the supervisor of the maintenance department there. So I feel like those life lessons of hard work, and even my mother, I like think about the things that my mom taught me, even though my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Uh, and growing up, I remember when I did go serve a mission, it does cost money, and then your family does have to pay for it. But I remember my mom, she would do a bunch of different side hustles, like she would cater food, she would clean homes, she would do a bunch of different things. Um, I feel like that's where I get my entrepreneurial side from.
Mm.
It is from my mom's side, my female side, from my mom, because she was very ambitious and she had a lot of dreams and different things like that that she would pursue. Like I remember growing up, my parents ran a boarding care, like for old people. Like they had that business that they did with one of my aunts and uncles. So I would say, as a younger person, looking at my parents, like in their different entrepreneurial journey, and them teaching the value of hard work and respect was really a thing that was instilled to me as a younger child.
Oh, that's awesome. Respect for women, work hard, and talk about this word, because I think there's a difference in terms of my personal development approach, coaching, teaching, and training in terms of work ethic and then ambition, where work ethic is a known that it takes hard work to achieve or accomplish anything, and that only with hard work can it be achieved. Now, ambition is this specific work to get this specific goal, right? Talk about that ambition, seeing your mom hustle because, hey, I got to get this done because I need this done, right? Or does it even make sense to you how I define it and delineate the difference between work ethic and ambition? Because I think ambition is the next level up from work ethic, because now that work ethic is clearly defined and directed in terms of this is the objective, this is what I got to do, and I will do whatever it takes. Does that make sense, Salesi? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as far as like ethic and ambition, I feel like the way that you described it is, if I hear you correctly, you're saying like ethic is like what it takes like to put your effort in, but ambition is the direction, more or less. Yeah. Do I hear you correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, when I think of those things of work ethic and ambition, I feel like in my life and from what I've seen is a lot of people do have work ethic, and they'll work hard at different things in their life, whether they're an athlete, like I played sports growing up, whether they have a certain profession that they're in, they'll work hard and try to do their best to become the best at it. But I feel like those that have ambition are the ones that rise above. And the reason why I've seen this, and one of my favorite players growing up was Kobe Bryant. I think of like he had that ambition, that more or less that Mamba mentality.
Yes, sir.
And he talks about it like, he said that he grew up, he wasn't that great at basketball. It's crazy. Wasn't that great at basketball growing up when he was in elementary, middle school. But what he did was he had the ambition and the drive to push himself to the next level. And he talks about like he would wake up at 4 a.m. and start practicing 4 to 6, take a break, then go in the afternoon and do like 4 or 5 sessions a day. And he talks about like he wasn't that great, but after a year of doing that, he saw the gap between him and others
closed.
And it just closed. And then he said, no matter what they do now, they're never going to catch me, because he continued that all the way to when he was in the NBA till he retired. And I feel like that ambition is something like, I heard something the other day that a lot of stuff that you do in life, that people are successful, they say like less than 1% is motivation. The rest is like just actually doing it and showing up and actually trying to do it I heard this guy on a podcast the other day. He talked about sometimes it's hard for us just to show up in life. And he
Yeah.
said he had this client, he was trying to lose weight. He was trying to work out. So what he did for, I think it was 3 months straight, he showed up to the gym for just 5 minutes a day and only worked out for 5 minutes and did it for 3 months straight. Well, once he understood how to show up, then he was able to perfect the rest of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to have that ambition to go to the next level. So I feel like that's the difference between uh, working hard, or that work that you have in yourself, and the ambition that you have to actually achieve and push yourself to your limits.
Oh, I love that. And I think ambition is more demanding than work ethic, because
Mhm.
ambition takes a personal meaning, like your health and your life fulfillment, your passions into
Mhm.
consideration, right? I mean, the whole scope of success, right? So you need to take care of your health and the things that are your passion and your purpose, right? I think ambition also demands that you develop, your family time equation, and that you prioritize family, your spirituality, because it is about life and living, but all of us will be dead in eternity a lot longer, and that eternity is longer than living. Come on,
Mhm.
Salesi,
Yeah.
right? Ambition says you better take into consideration your professionalism
Mhm.
and advancing in your profession, right? Bettering your skills and your knowledge acquisition and what is demanded within your profession. Ambition now also just demands that you're great at your finances. Because, like you said, entrepreneurs will be good at the generating and the doing and the getting, but then the IRS comes knocking on the door. And so ambition also takes that in consideration and is not scared of it and go, yeah, I gotta account for my time and my money. Come on, Salesi. And then ambition is like, I need to have the right mindset. I
Mhm.
need to have the right mindset to also acquire the knowledge I need to have the workout for my mentality to handle the rigors of life, leadership, business, marriage, raising children, doing community, doing my fatongia for the family that's never ending, right? So ambition is all of that. Work ethic is just work hard, you get something. Now, ambition takes it to another level. It's a bigger scale. There's more things involved. And people often call ambition as the sacrifices. Man, I don't use the word sacrifice. I use the word demand. Success doesn't give a damn whether we think it, want it, or whatever. It only cares about what you do, as you were saying. So close off ambition and differentiate, because ambition created that Mamba mentality of
Yeah.
whatever it took, regardless of the scope or what is demanded. I will meet those demands in life, leadership, and business. Come on, Salesi. We're dropping some knowledge here. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Hey, I really like everything that you just talked about. Yeah, when you said sacrifice, you said you used the word
Demand.
it's demand instead of sacrifice.
That's right.
Tell me the reasoning why you use demand instead of
Yeah,
sacrifice.
because we use sacrifice like, I need to give this up to get this. Success doesn't give a care about what you have to give up. Success only cares is, hey, this is the paperwork and the filing that you need to do for your accounting in terms of your income, your tax, your tax income, taxable income, and this is what it is that you write off, right? That's what success cares about. Can you jump on the court in life, leadership, business, sports, relationships, marriage, or parenting and do it? That's what, and that you develop, have a plan, and practice prior to when you have to do it. That's what I think is the difference between sacrifice and demand.
Yeah, yeah, I would totally agree when you talk about taxes and different things with accounting. Yeah, that's like totally true, because I feel like one of the biggest things I've seen, especially this past tax season, I'm still in the heart of it. It ends in April 18th, so a little bit under a week from today, is that people don't plan for a lot of things, especially if they're making a lot of income. They're making a lot of income and they see all this money and they're like, yeah, I'm successful, I'm doing this. And then like it hits them like, oh, I'm going to owe this much in taxes. Or they don't know if, like, let's say they just sold their house. Like, a lot of people don't understand like the tax repercussions that come from selling any types of assets, whether it's your home, your car, stocks, crypto. There's different things out there. And educating people is awesome to help them and see their eyes light up like, oh, okay, this makes sense. but sometimes it comes too late, and then we have to figure out a way to help them. And there's always a way. I would say there's always a way to help people.
Yep.
You're never like too deep where you can't find a way to get out of it. There's always a way, whether you're behind on your taxes or you're behind on your books with your accounting. There's always a way to change, and to change yourself, to continue to work hard, but to have that ambition to oversee. I feel like ambition also has to do with overlooking everything and making sure that everything is done correctly.
Yeah.
Because
Details, right?
You have to be able to step back, I feel like, as whether you're a business owner or you're an employee, you have to be able to step back and evaluate everything that's happening in your life. Because when you don't do that, when you don't plan, that's when people actually get in trouble.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's too late. But to be honest, it is never too late. There's always a will and a way to get through stuff and figure out what you need to do next. And I would say, sometimes it takes failure to know that, like, okay, this was totally wrong. And one thing I've seen in my life is I don't see failure as a bad thing, because I think failure is a way of learning, a way of growing, and it all ultimately helps you figure out, okay, that was not right to do. Let me try to do something else. But I feel like if you truly fail is when you give up, and that's something that I feel like if you're ever out there feeling like you need to give up or anything like that, you shouldn't succumb to that. You should always try, even when I feel like, I know, like, the days, like, let's say I'm trying to exercise and I'm like, my alarm rings, or I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I don't want to exercise today. Those are the days when you need to go out and just do it. And you need to just have that ambition and that hard work mentality to go forth and execute your goals. And I feel like goals are really good, but I feel like another great thing other than goals is to change your own behaviors, and to figure out who you are and figure out who you truly are. You know what I mean? So.
No, I love that. In that, when you were talking about failures, I do believe that failure and success are not two different paths. They're different outcomes, but both can lead to championship experiences in life, leadership, and business. And I've been very fortunate to be on teams in high school, junior college, Division I level, in community projects, and working with Fortune 1,000, 500, and 100 companies that they have failed and succeeded. And it's all the same path should you learn the lesson. But I also believe that, especially with our finances, right, and in our marriage and in being a parent, is that, in school you learn the lesson, then you take the test. In finances, marriage, and raising kids, you take the test first, and that test teaches you the lesson. Your thoughts on that, Salesi? Come on, that's some real talk. So then that way, like, you get a hold of a professional. You could be owing for 3 years, but the IRS doesn't need all of what you owed. You can come up with a sum that works for the IRS. You can have a professional help you with that and really negotiate what is a price that you're able to do. And if they're good with that, we can resolve these issues. But ambition, again, is really the courage to face what has to be done, regardless of the outcome. I think championship teams perform at the highest level because they're like, hey, whether this works out good or bad, I'm still going to be good, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'll try again later. So first start off with this first question, right? The path to success, there aren't really two paths. Yes, there are different outcomes in terms of experiences on that path, but success and failure are the same path. Is that your experience?
I would say yes. The reason why is I feel like life in general is it's a risk. When we first come into this life, I've heard this before. When you first come into this life, like, it's a risk when you're born. Like, you face risk every day. Like, I feel like in life, like, you can, not trying and trying, like, not trying, there's a risk with not trying. that there's a risk with trying. And so I look at it as like they are the same path, because ultimately, in the end of the day, there's things that act upon, or you can be acted upon in life. And that's just science in general. Like, when I think about people that I've come across, for example, that are very behind. Like, I've had clients that were like 5+ years behind on all of their stuff.
Right.
And
they feel like they're
like
drowning. They feel like they're drowning. Come on, Salesi, right?
Yeah, and they only come to me because they start getting notices from the IRS, and they're like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to start. And I feel like seeking professional help, if you don't know how to do it yourself, is a great path to start. Like, that's how you know you're trying to get to where you need to be. But also, not only seeking professional help, but also being able to face those things and not being afraid, is something that I feel like in life, like we go through a lot of things, right? We go through ups, we go through downs, we go through trials and tribulations, and those different things. And I feel like in the end of the day, like what it comes down to is our attitude to facing those things. Do we have like optimism, or do we have pessimism in our life? Like, are we going to face this with an optimistic attitude that, like, you know what, like, I have messed up, but I'm going to do my very best to get through this, and then to continue to do better? Right. Or do we go like, oh, bad things just happened to me. Right. This is bad. I'm just going to sweep this under the rug, or hide this under the table. And I don't feel like dealing with this. And when we do that, I feel like that's when things just implode on us, and we're not able to, fully overcome things. And it could be detrimental in our lives, where, it can hurt us, I would say, in the long run. It may not hurt us at that exact moment, but later on in your life, when whether it's the IRS or, decisions, consequences come knocking at the door, that we don't choose what's going to happen. And that's why I said that, like, we either act, or we are acted upon in our lives.
Right. No, I love that. What about when I said, in finances, marriage, and raising children, you take the test first, and the test teaches you the lesson? Come on, Salesi, what are your thoughts?
I would say yes, because I see a lot of young couples that get married, and people that just are having children, and people that have had children for a while, until they fully understand. I would say one of the most important things, going back to marriage, one of the most important things I feel like as an entrepreneur that has helped me is a biggest decision is choosing who you marry, because they're going to be the person to support you through everything that you go through. And I feel like, as I listen to other entrepreneurs and people that are very successful in their businesses, there's a few different things, because if you're trying to pursue your dreams, and the most important person in your life, who is your spouse or your wife or your husband, whoever it is not supporting you, it's very difficult to get where you want to be. I would say it's almost sometimes impossible, unless you are on the same team. There's a book called Good to Great. He talks about, like, being on the right bus, going to the right place. And I feel like in order for you to be successful, and even if you're not married, it's having that support, someone to support and help you along your journey, whether it's your spouse, your husband or wife, your mentors around you. I feel like that's the only true way to level up who you are as a person. And, that's why I appreciate you so much, Coach V, because you're that type of person that is there for people. I remember when I first met you, I was coming out to Sacramento. I'll tell the story right now. I was coming out to Sacramento for I was going to take over a guy's financial firm out there, and he wanted this. I just wanted to meet him. So I flew from Utah over to Sacramento, and I stayed with the guy. And I remember I messaged Coach V, and I let him know I'd be out there. And he was like, hey, let's link up. And then we went out to breakfast, and I got to know you as a person. And I remember this is, I think when you started a lot of your personal development things, you told me that's when you were starting it. But I remember just talking to you, the way you make me feel, like the way I felt when I talked to you, the inspiration that you gave me really showed me like that there are like good people that will mentor you, and also that will be there for you because they care about you. They don't care about the money that you have. They don't care about who you are as a person. They just care about you as a person. And I feel like when you find those people, whether they're your family or friends, those people will help you the most. And sometimes you have to learn, when you talk about taking the test first, whether, you know what I mean, relationships end or they flourish, you're tested, I would say, every day with your, you know what I mean, in your marriage, in your relationships, with your children, in business. I feel like there's a test every day. You know, like I think about me as just a father, like, you know, there's a test every day. I have 3 kids they're 3 and age under. So I have twin girls that are 3, and then I have a son that's 18 months. So, you know, they test my patience every day.
Every day, not just every day, every day.
Yeah, every day. And I feel like that's why you're tested. And you know what I mean? People are just thrown into the fire when you get married, when you have children. And that's why your test is like, you have to figure out real quick, what type of person are you? Are you a person that folds under pressure? Or are you a person that, you know, flourishes under pressure and under, you know, crazy situations? So I feel like that's how you're tested when you do those things, because there's no book out there that will teach you the hard ways of life. Like, you could read a book on marriage and raising children, or you could actually do it, and you'll learn more from doing it too.
Real talk. And talk about the outcome though. I love that phrase, and I tie it into the testimony, right? It's like this test teaches you the lesson. The lesson doesn't teach you like the test will. Like, you could be Kobe Bryant, you could practice all day, but it is the tests come in the games and in the playoffs. Those are the things that really reflect and allow you to reflect on how you need to level up, get better, right? Progress but the testimony that comes with learning the lessons from an actual test. Talk about that, Salesi, the testimony.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just share a little experience I had of how I started in accounting and how I got to where I'm at today. So
please.
I did corporate finance for a few tech companies out here in Utah County. They call this area the Silicon Slopes. So there's a lot of different companies that moved from Silicon Valley over here. And at that time, it was nearing the end of the pandemic. The companies that I was helping, they weren't in a good financial situation. So they had to lay off like almost everybody. And with that, I was laid off too. At that same time, I had started doing taxes the year before, and I didn't really have too many clients, but I just did it as a side hustle. And so when that time came, I was laid off too, and I had to start looking for another job.
Right.
And during that time, there was, you know, it was kind of crazy and there wasn't a lot out there, but I was applying and things were competitive. And I decided at that moment, I thought, even though, like, you know, I just had a baby, I had 3 little kids, maybe this is the time for me to start my practice full 100%. And, you know, after discussing it with my wife and going over our finances and those different things, we just decided to go 100% in. And I feel like it was like one of the hardest times in my life, but it was one of the most rewarding times. You know, when your back is against the wall and, you know, you're living off of your savings and you're trying to make it happen in your life, you figure out what type of person you are, and you figure out like who's really there for you. And I just remember during those times where it seemed like it was never going to end. I wasn't making like a lot of money to even sustain me and my family. Like just moving forward and trying my hardest and having that ambition, because I feel like the only reason why I took that leap was because of the ambition that I had and the belief that I had in myself, and then that my wife also had in me. And I also had 3 younger kids that were depending on me. I feel like when your back is against the wall and when you look at your bank account and whether it's 0 or negative, and you have to determine like, okay, maybe I go back to a 9-to-5 job. For me, I felt like more or less that wasn't an option, and I just pressed forward, and I started getting help from different mentors and different people out there that showed me that it was possible. I feel like when in life, when you see people that can mentor you and they're willing to, in order for you to level up to your next level, and they show you, you see their success and they're able to help guide you to where they're at, it gives you faith and it gives you hope for a better future. And honestly, that's what I saw, and it came through honestly a lot of prayer and fasting too, from a religious perspective. You know, I gained a lot, and I got to know, you know, who God was, and who his son was, Jesus Christ, and that God was there for me, and he cared about me, and he was willing to help me on my journey. And I feel like when you face experiences like that, where you're able to overcome challenges in your life, that gives you faith to keep on moving on and move forward. But at times, it may feel like, you know, it may be clouded all around you. And like it goes down to this saying where this guy, he was surrounded by like smoke, and he didn't know where he was at. And I think he was on a horse or something like that. The story goes, and then he says to his horse like, I don't even know where to go. And the horse was like, well, can you see like a few feet in front of you? He's like, yeah. He was like, well, just take a couple steps then. And sometimes in life, that's what happens. You feel clouds around you. You feel like you're all alone. But if you could just see a little bit in front of you and just start moving to where you can see, you'll ultimately end up at your goal and where you want to be in life.
You don't need to see the whole road.
Yeah.
You don't need to see all of it. You just need to keep moving forward as little or progressively as you can, however small. What a great testimony there. I mean, and then really, I love struggle. And then one of my biggest quotes is, life is struggle, struggle is life, but misery is optional. But what I do love about life struggle, and in saying the life struggle that I have been with and or self-sabotage myself with life struggle, a lot of people say, I would never change any of it, man. I wouldn't change any of it either, but I do not want to go through it twice. Real talk, right? But what I found about this life struggle and being in the situations that you have been in is it tells you that you need to bet on you. And all of that Heavenly Father or God or who it is that you believed created you. And really your capacity because of that to do more, become more, and achieve more, right? Well, what an awesome testimony. And thank you for sharing that. In that, what is Salesi Ika's message to the world? So via the Dash Radio app, we got people in Germany, Europe. The majority of our listeners come from the West Coast, Seattle, San Diego, SoCal. We just started creating a bigger base for this show in Utah because of our past guests. And so what would be something you could share with the world? Like, this is my message to the world. What would that be, Salesi?
I would say my message to the world is to believe in yourself, to believe that that God, or if you don't believe in God, a higher power, someone put you here on this earth for a purpose. And if you feel like you've lost your purpose, or if you feel like you don't know where you're going in life, you are special. You are someone. You are a son or daughter of a higher being who loves and cares about you. There are people around you that do care about you, even though you may seem like there's nowhere to turn in life. I would also say my message is to inspire people to go out and do what they want to do. I feel like most times in life, we go through life doing jobs or doing things that we don't enjoy,
Right.
we don't find purpose in.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to be happy, you have to find purpose in what you're doing. If you're not finding that today, change what you're doing. Look at what you really love in life and focus on those things. Whether it's the people in your life, whether it's your career path, whether it's schooling, whether it's education, whether it's being a better person, you need to look at who you are and where you want to be. And you need to live that, like that person that you want to be. Or if you are that person, continue doing what you're doing. Because I feel like when you're not progressing in life, if you're not moving forward, ultimately you'll be acted upon, you'll move backwards. So always, I would say, it's the sharpening your saw metaphor. You always want to become a better person. And I feel like for those out there that are thinking of starting a business or whatever you want to do, just go and do it. Most of the time in life, we overcomplicate ourselves.
Right.
Like, we're like, oh no, I need to do this first. Like,
Right.
I need to make sure I get X, Y, Z done first before I do this. Why can't you just do it first? Why can't you just go out and pursue your goals, pursue your dreams, pursue your passions? Because I feel like when you pursue your passions in life, like, that's when you'll be the happiest. And I feel like that's my message to everybody out there. Do what's going to make you most happy in life. Because at the end of your life, when you look back when you're old and you can't do those things anymore, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want people to remember you?
Oh, I love that. I love that. In that, Salesi, how do people get a hold of you? Tell us exactly what you do, what your service and current project are, so that people know and how they can contact you, Salesi, please.
Yeah, no problem. So you could get a hold of me. I have a website. I'll send it over to Coach B. I also have, usually LinkedIn is what I mainly use. I have a Facebook page. But mainly what I do is I help small businesses, and I do their accounting and bookkeeping services. So I'll help them with their filings quarterly, whether it's payroll or things like that. I'll also help them analyze their finances. I'll do all their bookkeeping and help them analyze their finances and figure out if they're leaving money on the table. Also help them do projections and also help them plan for taxes. I feel like that's like one of the biggest things that's hardest for business owners, is to know, like, am I going to owe money this year, or am I going to get money back this year? And so I help them with that. And then I also do tax filing for businesses. And ultimately, like, one of my favorite things to do with a lot of businesses is to help consult them on their finances. Almost like I'm an outsourced CFO, where I'm able to overlook all their finances, tell them things that they can cut back on, tell them things that they can spend money on, tell them how they can navigate through the tax codes and the different regulations specific to their industry, because there's a lot of different laws out there that take a lot to just sit down and study. And that's what I do for a living. So if anybody needs help with those types of services and our small business, whether you're starting up or you've been around for 10 plus years, I've helped everybody in between. So that's basically more in a nutshell what I do.
And we will have that description and his website in the link. But what is the website, Salesi?
It's pacificaccountants.net.
A plural, yeah. Pacific
Mm-hmm.
Accountants.
Mm-hmm. .net.
Accountants.net. And then what about shout outs? Who do you want to shout out here on the Coach V Show on Island City? Who do you want to shout out, Salesi?
Oh, I'll just give a shout out to like my wife and my children. Yeah, I'm so grateful for my wife, Melenaite. Thanks for everything that you've done for me. All my kids, I have 3 kids, Emma, Ella, and Saya. Love them so much. Shout out to my mom and dad. They live in the Bay right now. They're serving a church mission out there, out in Oakland, San Francisco right now. So shout out to Elder and Sister Ika out there. And all of my siblings out there. I have 7 siblings. Thank you for putting up with me as we grew up. And then a special shout out to one of my mentors that honestly helps me every single day. His name is Donnie Wolfgram. Man, without that guy, I wouldn't have took this leap of faith and been where I'm at. So in my professional career, he's like one of them. Another one that has helped me, Cap Sika Hema. Thank you so much for helping me learn how to do taxes. And then another one, her name is Connie. She honestly helped me when I was working in my corporate jobs. Shout out to her too. So those have been some of the people that mentored me. And I honestly don't even know if I've ever talked to them specifically, but just know that you guys have helped me in my life, and I really appreciate it.
That's awesome. So in that, to everybody that has just tuned in, we are here featuring Salesi Ika, who is out in Utah, and he is an accountant, and he is a guru at the numbers for your nonprofit, for your business, for your personal business, or your side hustle, or you need help with filing of your taxes. And at this point here on the Coach V Show, powered by Island City, broadcast from Dash Radio Hollywood Studios, we are going to put Salesi on the hot seat. Salesi, I'm going to say a phrase, and then just tell us what it is that is your opinion, what comes to mind, or what it is that your thoughts are when I say this. So I really feel like I leveled up when I came up with this first professional financial equation for my life, leadership, and business. Spend no more monthly than 70% of my income, invest 10%, and then save 10%, and then tithe 10%, which the tithe always comes out first. Whatever contract I got, somebody pays me, whether that's weekly, monthly, and every day I have either something hitting on from Square Pay or some type of other option from all over the world. I just pay tithe on that. And then now the buckets on that have changed. But once I had a financial formula, my wife and I actually saw our savings grow tremendously. And then we had little buckets. Instead of just surviving and spending no more than 70%, we could survive on less. And then other buckets started to grow. How important is a financial formula for individuals, for families, companies, nonprofit agencies? Let's talk to the United States government too, and maybe having a budget and a financial formula. How important is that for life, leadership, and business, Salesi?
I would say it's really, really important. And the reason why it's so important is because if you do not have a budget for what you're doing, whether it's in your personal life or in your business or in the government's perspective, you're going to have a lot of chaos. You're not going to know where your money's going to. And I feel like a lot of people that I talk to that need help, they do not have that because they have not planned. And I feel like when you fail to plan, when you plan to fail,
when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. You got me.
That's
But
all
I
good.
feel like that's a lot in finances too.
Yes.
So what you said there, all of those different aspects, I feel like that most Americans right now do not save enough money.
Yeah.
And so 70%, only spending 70%, that's a huge one, especially with the rate of inflation and different things that are going on right now. You know, just the market, the housing market, and those different things. If you want to be financially stable when it comes to your personal finances, you have to have some type of plan. Whether, you know, with your saving 70%, that's I would say that's awesome.
No, we
But
tried not to spend more than 70% of our monthly income.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. We tried to save 10, and then we
Let's
grew
save
that to
10%,
15. Then we tried to save 15% per monthly income that my wife and I made. Then we try to grow it, right? We challenged ourselves. Hey, let's get to this amount in our savings, and then this amount to our savings. Oh, it was such a great game, Salesi. But one thing we tried not to do is try to borrow $10. You know, if something was, say, we don't want to spend over our monthly income. So we never tried to spend and look at our budget and go, damn, we spend 110% of our monthly income, because that means we had to borrow to get something. No, just save and get it later, right?
Yeah.
Deferred gratification. And then we were always focused on community giving, and then also tithe, because I mean, to us, all of it is his. We're just stewards of all that we're blessed with. Right. And then the dynamics really changed, because we knew that. But in college, when we both got together, you know, we were living off 99% of our income. Right. You know, when we're both of us are only making out of college like $2,500, the apartment is like this much. It's like, man, we're barely making it. And so even tithing, then we didn't see how we could. But when we faithfully prescribed and subscribe to a formula that worked for us, and we faithfully tithe 10%, man, the dynamics change. What about for you, Salesi? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually follow that myself. Save, and especially the tithing. I feel like that honestly blessed me when I was starting my entrepreneurial journey. It helped me see that, like, you know, at the end of the day, everything is his. And when it comes down to it, nothing is ours.
That's right.
We're just blessed with stuff in our lives. But at the end of the day, like when we die, like we don't take anything with us. I like what Denzel Washington said. He said, have you ever seen a U-Haul behind a hearse?
Hearse. Yeah, that's right. Now, only in the Tongan way, where there's a big U-Haul that's going to the funeral with all the fine mats and all that stuff. You know, we can get a little carried away, but I see why. But that's awesome. I love your comments on that. Let's talk lastly now on the Coach B hot seat about change. I say this to most entrepreneurs, which I took it from Jim Rohn, who I think is the godfather to me in terms of personal development. Is he talked about all the time for things to change. So I created a phrase from that for my clients that says, for things to change, you must change. If you don't change, nothing changes. If you do change, everything changes, because you are the key. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say, yeah, in our life, we are the key to ourselves. In our life, we're the only people holding ourselves back. You know, there was a little story that I want to tell. Yeah, it's of a pastor, a bishop of a church, and these people just barely joined his church, and they're like, you know what, I don't like this church. The people are judgmental. I don't like anybody here. Like, they say all these things, and then the bishop pastor, he's like, okay, I want you to do something while they're at church. He's like, here's a full glass of cup. And he's like, I want you to walk around the church and focus on not spilling that cup. And they do it, and they walk around, and then come back to him. And then he's like, hey, what did you learn? And they were like, well, I didn't spill the glass of cup. And he's like, yeah, see, because you were focused on the cup. You were focused on that glass of cup, and you weren't focused on everything else.
Right.
Their perspective had changed. And I feel like in our life when we have to change ourselves in order to become someone better. Like we have to change our old selves to become great. The only way, like when you look at everybody that has ever had made impact in people's lives, they were not the same person they were when they were younger. They were someone totally different. And because they were able to make that change in their life, they were able to become something greater that had great impact, and they were able to become legends, more or less, that it stretched all the way to where it affects people's lives.
Oh, I love that.
And I feel like the other thing is you cannot change the world before you change yourself. Yeah. You got to focus on yourself and changing yourself before you feel like it's kind of sad because I talk to people sometimes and they talk about other people's problems. And I just look at people and I'm like, you should focus on your own problems and focus on your own house, like focus on yourself and your own family before you try to focus and talk about other people and what they're trying to do. Because most of the time, we don't know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, real talk.
So those are a little bit things. Sorry if I went off a little bit, but those were some of my thoughts.
Man, it's your feature. I'm just the co-host here, man. We're featuring you, baby. It's all good. It's all good. In that, take 30 seconds, Salesi. What's your final before we end the show? What's a final?
I would just say, in life, try to find meaning, try to find purpose if you haven't already found it. And I would say some of the most important things in life are the relationships that you build around you, whether it's with your family or friends. So cherish those, because those are the only things that you will take into the next life.
Very good. Thank you, Salesi. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode and this week's Mana Motivation Monday on the Coach V Show here on Island City, and brought to you where the beach meets the streets, and here on your Hollywood Personal Development Radio Show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. And really quickly from the host here is that you just don't follow or listen to shows like this with Salesi and Coach V just for the sake of success, but really for the sake of being your best. In doing so, you realize the best of your abilities, and that everything that you work, pray, and grind for will be achieved. And not because we say so either. This is what life, leadership, and business tells us all. Until next Mana Motivation Monday, is your boy, your Chief Financial Officer from Utah, Salesi, and your boy, Coach V. We will see you next time here on the Coach V Show. And where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. From your boy Salesi, your boy Coach V. One love, mad respects, live it. Peace.